This is a game from 1958 between Bobby Fischer with the white pieces and Samuel Reshevsky playing black. And it's a remarkable game in that Reshevsky fell for an opening trap, which nowadays is a lot more well known thanks to this game. But even for back then, it's really surprising that a player of Reshevsky's caliber would fall for a trap like this. So let's take a look at the game. Bobby Fischer plays e4, his favorite, and we get the Sicilian defense and some standard moves here. And we have g6, the accelerated dragon. Knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, and then knight f6. Now here, Bobby Fischer wisely plays bishop c4. If you go f3, now here, black can castle. You always have to watch out for d5 in these positions where d6 hasn't been played yet, and black can get the pawn to d5 in only one move, saving a tempo. You know, he can't play it here because we got bishop b5 and the pin to the knight is a problem. That has to be addressed, and then there's a problem, you know, defending this pawn here. So what black will do is castle, but now it's hard to play bishop c4, which is now more of a necessity since d5 is threatened. But here if you play bishop c4, now you got queen b6, and this is irritating because there's ideas of the knight capturing here with the discovery on the knight. So if you try to do this, you know, you got knight takes e4, and it's not losing for white, but it's not ideal. So it's good to play bishop c4 first. Now if black castles, we drop the bishop down to b3. Now if black tries to play this queen b6, we have this knight to f5, and there's no queen takes b2. That was the point of getting the bishop to b3 quickly. Okay, so Bobby knows his theory, bishop b3, and now we get this move, knight to a5. Looks reasonable on the surface. Black wants to trade off a knight for bishop. That's usually a good exchange, and this would be okay, except there is a brutal tactic here. If you've never seen this position before, see if you can find white's best move. Okay, e5, hitting the knight. The knight pretty much has to go back to e8. If you play knight h5, then g4 simply traps the knight. If you try to throw in knight takes b3, well, white comes out ahead on this exchange. Pawn takes, knight takes a1, takes on g7. You know, if the king takes, we can take right here. So knight to e8 is really necessary here. And now see if you can find white's next brutal move. Bishop takes f7 check. It's really remarkable that black is completely lost at this point. But black doesn't have a good response here. He's in check, so he has very limited options. So let's look at all the possibilities. If you take with the rook, knight e6, the queen will be lost. The queen is attacked. Anywhere it moves, it will be captured. And if the knight's captured, queen takes queen. So there's that. How about just moving the king? Same thing, knight e6, same problem. So finally, let's look at king takes. This is what was played in the game. And here we go knight e6. Now the only difference here is that the king can take the knight, but this is not a good idea because this will run into a checkmate. After queen d5 check, king moves, g4 check. You can see the king's getting drawn out and it's not going to end well. You have king h4 and this kind of thing. You know, you can work it out yourself. Not too difficult. That's the only move to stalemate right there for black, and then queen takes f3. It's checkmate. So what was actually played in the game was d takes e6, giving up the queen was necessary. Queen takes, and then knight c6. And Reshevsky plays on for a while, but it's a completely lost position, and it was not too difficult for Bobby to convert.